Thank you, Dan. Good evening once again. Both Ipswich and Derby will believe they don't deserve to be in League One, but they aren't the only ones in a division now littered with big clubs who've discovered that poor management on or off the field will always get you in the end. But Ipswich look to have finally found the right coach, and Derby have gone for a promotion specialist at this level, so optimism reigns supreme at the moment. And it is a wonderful sight here at Portman Road this evening, as we've been saying, very close to capacity, and two clubs formerly of the Premier League stride out looking to make it back into the Championship. A reminder of the Ipswich team once again, two changes from that 1-0 loss here against Lincoln, a game they dominated but failed to score in. Connor Chaplin and Freddie Ladipo are the two players who make way. Tyrese John Jules, 21 years of age, on loan from Arsenal. He comes in along with Caden Jackson, who was a big money signing the last time Ipswich were in the Championship, and things never quite worked out at that level then, but he has a role to play on the way back possibly. So their team is Walton in goal, a back three: Edmondson, Wolfenden and Donassian, Burns, Evans, Morsey and Davis across midfield, with two number 10s, Harness and Jackson in behind John Jules. And the former Derby player, Richard Keogh, former Derby captain, is on the bench. One change for the Rams. Jason Knight is unavailable due to injury, so Corey Smith comes back into the team, which won 2-0 at Accrington, a rare away victory, but now back-to-back successes on the road after they even failed to score a goal in their opening three away games this season. So it's Wild Smith in goal. Their back three: Chester, Davis and Cashin, Mendes Lang, Smith, Sibley, Bird and Barkhuizen across midfield, with Dobbin and Asula in attack, and Conor Harahan, the Republic of Ireland international, also back on the bench following injury, and the former Ipswich man David McGoldrick is also an option later on in the game. And Matt Holland, this must take you back. I know you had the hospitality and you saw George Burley and so many other former players before the game, but to see this ground like this, it's not been like this for so many years.
Honestly, it's fabulous, the change in direction over the course of the last 18 months, and credit to the new ownership, Mark Ashton, the chief executive. They've started to invest on the infrastructure, given the Portman Road Stadium some love. They've built a really good squad. Kieran McKenna's been a fabulous investment by the ownership, and they're in a good place. They're in a really good place, and it's fabulous to see over 28,000 here on pretty much a regular basis at the moment.
And Ipswich are wearing the all-black strip, which has been designed by Ed Sheeran, who announced today that he's extended his sponsorship of that shirt for another season. And Derby in their change strip, burgundy shirts, white shorts and burgundy socks. And it's Derby County who will get the match underway here inside a raucous Portman Road. Our referee is Lee Swaby. And at the end of the season, this could turn out to be one of the defining games, and you can hear the noise reverberating around this famous old ground. And the football weekend is underway once again across the Talksport network, and we begin in League One with two clubs who have the trappings of the Premier League. The big job now is to try and get back there, as Ipswich concede a free kick in the opening 15 seconds. Harness is the player who has been penalised, a challenge on Corey Smith, and Smith will take the free kick. And every single Derby outfield player has been committed forward here, which has forced all of the Ipswich black shirts towards the edge of their own box. Smith with the high ball into the penalty area, headed away by Wolfenden towards the far post. Sibley with a low ball back in. There's a swing and a miss at the near post from Cashin, and eventually Ipswich will clear up towards the halfway line. Now Smith, who had retreated sufficiently, tries to bring it forward, but very quickly Ipswich look to win it back, and it's a frenetic cup-tie start here, Matt Holland.
Well, you'd expect that. As I said, Paul Warne's teams that are not going to sit back and defend. They're going to try and play on the front foot. They're going to play with a high intensity, try and push Ipswich back. Ipswich aren't used to that. They're used to teams coming here and sitting behind the ball.
And Paul Warne, Norwich-born, Norwich City fan, has a very good record here at Portman Road, a very good record against Ipswich overall. Played 7, won 6, lost one. And you were telling me before kick-off that you've seen a couple of games here against Rotherham in recent years when Rotherham have basically just got a job on them.
Been overly physical, and Ipswich haven't been able to deal with that. So Dan asked the question, didn't he, in the studio, that they've got to match that physicality, and I said absolutely, because you know that they're going to come at you and be strong.
Cashin wide towards Barkhazen, and now the fair head Sibley turns away from the challenge down the left, tricks his way into the penalty area. The cross is helped away at the near post by Edmondson, but Derby here have made a fine start, and it's flicked on towards Asula inside the penalty area, tries to tee the ball up for Sibley. Ipswich will clear, and now there's a break for John Jules at the other end, which is quickly halted by the experienced Curtis Davis. And Erin Cashin, only 20 years of age, but he's very quickly become an established part of this Derby team, one of a number of academy products who were given their opportunity amid all the adversity last season. A number of them were sold on, but Cashin has stayed and is now a regular in this Derby County side.
Yeah, he's been very good, hasn't he? Alongside the experience of Curtis Davis and James Chester. He's going to have to play well tonight. He's going to have to utilise his pace, because Ipswich are quick in the forward positions.
Here is Barkhazen again with a cross in from the left-hand side, but it slices off the outside of his boot and goes behind for a goal kick. 3 minutes played here at Portman Road. Ipswich 0, Derby 0, and really you have to keep telling yourself that it's a League One game when you look at the crowd and you look at the players on the pitch as well, particularly Derby's team, that they've basically bought a championship side in, but of course it's getting it to gel.
Yeah, it takes time when you make that many changes, and actually Ipswich had that problem last season. I think they made 18 signings in the summer last year, and it took a while for them to get their form.
But they're coming forward now on this near side with Burns down the right. Burns with a low cross into the penalty area, but there's an excellent recovery challenge there on the edge of the box from Smith, but Ipswich take the throw in quickly. Here is Burns again, plays a 1-2 with Donatian. Donatian tries to flick it between his legs and then finds Burns, who was flagged offside, and it will be a free kick. And Dan made the point in the studio that if Wes Burns does go to the World Cup and Wales have a decent run, great for him, but for Ipswich they will need to try and fill that gap down the right-hand side.
They've been without him a couple of times this season. Caden Jackson's been utilised there. Carl Edwards has been coming back to form as well the last couple of weeks. I know that Kieran McKenna's been really impressed with the way he's been training. Deserved his opportunity. Came here on against Cambridge a few weeks back and made the difference, actually. It was 0-0 when he came on. They finished 3-0 and he was the difference.
And he was sent off in the Papa John's Trophy at Cambridge in midweek, but available for this game as Morsey drives forward now for Ipswich and plays it wide towards the far side, and there's an opportunity for Jackson to attack down the left, and he comes in field, uses Morsey as a decoy this time, and now Evans will play it square towards this near side, and Donatian, he's supporting Burns now. We've got the overlapping central defenders here for a moment. Now the ball swept towards the edge of the penalty area. It breaks kindly for John Jules. His low cross at the near post is blocked by Davis, and it goes behind for a corner.
Yeah, I think you'll see Ipswich work heavily down the right-hand side, because Donatian, more so than Edmondson of the back three, will join in on the right-hand side, and he'll go and support Wes Burns. And then you've got the likes of Harness coming across and helping out as well, and trying to outnumber Derby in those areas.
Well, Donatian started his career as a fullback, so he's suited into moving to those wide areas. The corner's played short to Harness, and now Morsey goes further back, and the low ball, excellent ball into the penalty area, challenging at the near post and trying to flick that ball on was Burns. I'm not sure he got a touch, but Wildsmith fumbles it and it's bobbled behind for a corner.
Well, Lee Evans is a technically gifted midfield player, and it came back to him. First time ball was absolutely perfect, just needed the faintest of touches from Wes Burns. He couldn't get anything on it.
Another corner for Ipswich on this near side, and they are beginning to find their feet in this game. Headed away at the near post, then headed up in the air by Morsey, nodded back towards the edge of the penalty area, but now Derby will try and clear themselves, and Mendes Lang turns and plays a neat ball down the line, and there's an opportunity here for Dobbin to attack. He's challenged and he's been fouled by Morsey, a typical Sam Morsey challenge in many ways, and this time he concedes the free kick.
Yeah, he's a little bit unlucky actually. Dobbin did really well, just got his body between the man and ball, and it was a foul, probably a good foul to give away actually, because Derby were on the counter, 2 against 2.
6 minutes played on Talksport 2 at Portman Road. Ipswich 0, Derby 0. Ipswich starting this game 4 points behind Plymouth at the top of the table following that home defeat to here against Lincoln last week. Derby are 9th. but they have won their 2 previous games away from home. Corey Smith with the free kick, played short to Barkhuizen, who completely misses his kick, but then he wins the ball back. Mendez-Laing quickly transfers it wide to Sibley down the right hand side. Sibley with a lovely turn down the line, but then he slips at the crucial moment, and there is the opportunity for Davis to clear, and 1 or 2 players beginning to slip and slide. The playing surface was heavily watered before kick-off, and eventually Ipswich do win a free kick, but we can see already the Paul Warne way.
The intensity.
Yeah.
I think when they lose the ball, you can see straight away how quick they want to try and win it back.
Now Luke Wolfenden, 24 today, plays it wide towards the far side, and it's played back in field to Edmondson, who was on loan at Derby from Rangers a couple of years ago. A raking ball wide towards the right hand side. Burns, though, is quickly challenged by Barkhuizen, and Derby will clear, but it's quickly won back by Donatian. Sibley comes across to block it, but now the early throw-in releases Harness down the right, high cross towards the far post, and it skips beyond both Davis and Mendez-Laing, but it's quickly recovered by Ipswich. And now Morsey infield again towards Wolfenden, and Donatian on the right, just in front of us here as we look out from the main stand at Portman Road. It's jabbed down the line by Burns as Ipswich attack the Sir Alf Ramsey stand away to our right hand side, and then another challenge comes in, and a good one as well from Evans to win it back, and Morsey has the opportunity to charge forward, and Morsey now on the edge of the penalty area, plays it square, and the low cross in from Caden Jackson is again blocked by Cashin, and Ipswich have their 3rd corner.
Really good game, really good game. Kieran McKenna talked pre-match about how he was expecting an open game, how he thought there'd be more transitions in the match end to end, because Derby will come at Ipswich, Ipswich will go at Derby, and it's going to be a bit of a basketball game at times, and both teams are trying to win the ball back really quickly.
Paul Warne has won his 2 games away from home so far and lost at home to Port Vale as a high ball is played into the penalty area, and it was nodded down, and it's gone behind, bar a deflection for another corner. I think it was it Donatian who was challenging?
I think it was John Jules.
John Jules, yeah.
Yeah, John Jules was closest to it. It actually looked like he actually got the touch, didn't it? But maybe it flicked off a Derby player last. There was no complaints from the Derby players.
And Leif Davis will take the corner kick. The former Leeds player who was on loan at Bournemouth last season, helped them to promotion. It's an outswinger high into the penalty area. Edmondson nods it down, and John Jules was almost there to touch the ball in, but it's cleared as far as Evans again. The low ball is swung in, and John Jules tries a volley on the turn, but it's blocked, and now Ipswich will try and break, and once again there's a challenge by Morsey, and this time he receives a yellow card. It was a break right down the centre from Dobbin. He was much quicker than Morsey. Morsey claiming he stood his ground, but in the views of the referee and probably most people here, he body checked it.
He's not adverse to a yellow card.
No.
Not adverse to one at all, Sam Morsey. You know, he's already brought a player down on the counter-attack, and
that could have been a yellow card there.
Could have been, and there was no way that man and ball was going past him on that occasion.
But it's a free kick for Derby once again. And Paul Warne has such a good record at this level. In 180 games in League One, he has averaged 1.8 points per game.
Every time there's been a free kick there, they've set it up, thrown bodies forward.
Yeah. Everybody forward once again, but Ipswich trying to play a high line, but it's flicked towards the edge of the penalty area by Sibley, and eventually cleared away by Evans, but now won back by Smith, one of so many players who dropped down from the Championship to join Derby once the takeover from the Derby fan and local property developer David Clowes was completed during the summer. Derby were in administration for 9 months, and it did seem on a number of occasions the club could be heading to the wall, but they managed to stumble through last season. So that 21-point deduction really saw them relegated as Harness releases Morsey. Now a good ball down the centre. Jackson was almost in, but it was a really good challenge on the edge of the box from Mendez-Laing coming in from the far side. He had to time that right or he would have been off, but it's only a corner.
Spent a bit of time pre-match saying that he's much better going forward than he is defensively. He read that situation superbly and timed the tackle to perfection. Caden Jackson's quick, very quick. I thought he was in.
And Nathaniel Mendez-Lang really having a renaissance in his career as he goes past 30, as the corner played into the penalty area, cleared away again by Derby, flicked towards the edge of the box by Morsey, and brought down in the penalty area, hacked towards goal by Jackson, but I think the flag was raised for offside, and it was, and it will be, a free kick once again. And Derby County do have 2 home games coming up against Exeter and Bristol Rovers, and then they have contrasting games in the Cups, both away from home, against Torquay and Liverpool. And you do feel, for both of these clubs, it's the form on home turf at Portman Road and Pride Park which may decide things. If you're clubs like this, you've got to get your points.
Well, Ipswich lost their first home game of the season at the weekend against Lincoln. It's been a difficult place to come and play football for opposition sides, so they'll be looking to get back to winning ways tonight.
Only 4 home defeats in 40 for Ipswich in the league, as Dobbin chases a ball forward down the near side. The Derby left again, but it's claimed by Christian Walton. He has 6 clean sheets in his opening 14 games, and that's also been a feature of Kieran McKenna's football so far. Ipswich have been very parsimonious at the back at times, and now Jackson using his pace down the left-hand side, low into the near post, and Cashin is there again to slice the ball away, but it's gathered by John Jules on the left corner of the penalty area. He looks to turn away from Evans, and he's wriggled beyond the byline, goes down inside the penalty area. Mendez-Lang with a challenge, and Lee Swaby, the referee, is unmoved.
Well, he's adamant. You can hear the crowd's reaction as well, to know what they think about that. Difficult without seeing a replay. I mean, he went to ground, he beaten his defender, but without seeing a replay, it's really difficult to know whether that was a penalty or not. He was adamant.
Well, Lee Swaby was a lot closer than we were, and he waved away the appeals, and I've seen 1 or 2 penalty decisions which I'm sure would have been given with VAR, which of course haven't been given in the Championship recently, and maybe that's another one in League One here. And Kieran McKenna is having words with the 4th official, Craig Hicks, down below, and our colleagues in front do have a monitor of sorts, and I'm just watching a replay now, and well, it's a decision which I'm sure if the referee had given it, and if there was VAR, it wouldn't have been overturned, if you know what I mean.
Well, he did brilliantly initially, beat the first man, then cut back onto his right foot. It's Mendez-Lang with the challenge, and it's a difficult one. There weren't too many Ipswich players pleading the case.
Well, Mendez-Lang was quick to say to him, well, look, you know, we're just watching it ourselves here. He did dangle the leg, Mendez-Lang.
He did dangle the leg. He certainly asked a question. I'll tell you what, I mean, he brings him down, doesn't he? And he does get nothing in the ball.
Here's Barkhuizen now for Derby at the other end. Left-footed shot from him is blocked on the edge of the penalty area by Burns. Now Cashin. A high ball wide to the far side, taken down by Mendez-Lang, who will now try and take on Davis. The high cross to the far post. Dobbin is quick enough to recover it. He's got support from Barkhuizen. Barkhuizen slips it down the side, looking for Sibley, but it's cut out by Harness. The question is, did he go down too theatrically to maybe...
Yeah, how much contact was there?
Here is Barkhuizen now. 15 minutes play. 0-0 on Talksport 2. Cashin swings another high ball to the far post, and the ball just evading the arm of Davis there as he leapt for Ipswich, but Derby will try and build again here with Mendez-Lang all the way back to the halfway line, and James Chester, the sometime Welsh international, signed from Stoke City. Now Barkhuizen slips a low ball towards Sibley on the edge of the penalty area, but Ipswich will clear the ball away again. Nearly 16 minutes played here on Talksport 2, 0-0, but Derby come forward, but Bird's ball into the box, not quite read by Dobbin, probably overhit anyway, and it spins behind for a goal kick.
Well, opening quarter of an hour has been really competitive, and there's very little in the game. Derby are pressing high, they've had good possession at times. Likewise, Ipswich have had their moments as well. It's been a really fascinating start to the game. The
goal kick quickly taken by Walton, but the header won without any real challenge by Cashin. Now Barkhazen finding Dobbin, who looks to twist and turn inside the penalty area, challenged by Wolfenden. Dobbin though manages to win it back and find Barkhazen again, and now Wolfenden will try and hit the byline in behind Burns, but the cross lacking any menace, and it's swept away by Evans. And now Donasian high up towards the halfway line. There's a leap from John Jules, and this time he does get the decision, maybe just a nudge into the back from Corey Smith when John Jules was in mid-air, but Paul Warne underneath the bobble hat. It's that time of year for him once again. Not too happy with the decision, but
it's not that cold,
do have a free kick.
It's not that cold. He wears a bobble hat
in August.
I know, yeah. I actually put my jumper on just before kick-off, but I don't think
it's a very mild evening here, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
And maybe he's preparing for the walk back to the team coach as a Norwich-born former manager and former player after the game.
I think an area that Kieran McKenna will be looking for a bit more from his team is Harness and Jackson. They're two players that are really key in this system. He wants to get them on the ball as much as possible. They haven't seen a lot of it.
One back by Donasian, and now Morsey. And they do have Connor Chaplin and Freddie Ladapo on the bench, and Freddie Ladapo will be well known to Paul Warne. He helped Rotherham to promotion last season and was very effective alongside Michael Smith, who was also chosen to head back to League One and play for Sheffield Wednesday this season. Aaron Cashin, who I'm sure will be part of the senior side for the Republic of Ireland on a regular basis very soon. All the way back towards Curtis Davis, and now Wildsmith, the former Sheffield Wednesday goalkeeper, clears downfield, but it's over the head of Davis and out of play. And Cashin's just one of numerous players who are around the Republic of Ireland under-21 team, and it's great for them that they are playing on a regular basis in the English game.
Yeah, absolutely, and he looks a real player, doesn't he? He's composed, good on the ball, physical. He's got that aerial ability as well, reads the game well. Real prospect.
Now Harness wide to this near side, and again the challenge made by Cashin, who reads the situation. He's drawn out of the centre towards the Derby left, but he wins it from Burns. Ipswich only have a throw in, which they then give away as Bird slides in with a challenge on Evans, but Ipswich have a throw in on this near side. And big home crowd here tonight, but Derby doing a very good job of quieting them down at the moment. 0-0 with 19 minutes played on Talksport 2. Now Wolfenden goes all the way back towards Christian Walton, wearing all orange, defending the Ipswich goal away to our left. Both teams wearing their change strip this evening. Ipswich in all black, the kit designed by Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, it's difficult to get used to that.
Yeah.
Here at Portman Road, watching them in black, it feels a bit odd, really.
If I knew any of his songs, I'm sure I would come up with a pun if Ipswich scored, but...
Have you not done your research on that today, Nigel?
No, sorry, that one passed me by, yeah.
You went through the squad of 18, but missed out Ed Sheeran. Yes. You know he's got a squad number.
Does he?
Yeah. So he is part of the squad.
Was he given number 8 in honour of you?
No, yeah. They haven't retired that, don't worry.
Lee Evans is wearing that this evening. Now Harness with the ponytail, wins it back and steps away from the challenge of Cashin. Early ball into the penalty area just beyond Caden Jackson, and Jackson had John Jules square completely unmarked, but with a better ball there from Harness, Ipswich would have been in.
Oh, what a chance. He's done all the hard work. He's beaten his man, he's got himself into the space, and it's actually a fairly simple 10-yard pass, slide pass into the feet of Caden Jackson, just too much on it.
Matt Holland with us here on Talksport 2 this evening, scored with his final touch for Ipswich against Derby back in May of 2003. Darren Bent, who we heard from on Drive earlier, also scored in that game, a scorer for both clubs in this fixture, more regularly for Ipswich it must be said, but scored for Derby here in a 3-0 victory back in January of 2017. And of course these two clubs were regulars in the top flight, particularly in the 70s and 80s when Derby twice won the title and Ipswich won the FA Cup and the UEFA Cup. Now Sibley coming forward for Derby on the edge of the penalty area, but Ipswich are defending stoutly at the moment, but they've given the ball away to Barkhazen, but Morsey quickly picks his pocket and plays it forward to John Jules, who lays it wide to the right, and Jackson and they have swapped wings at the moment as Jackson tries his luck on this near side. The low cross into the penalty area, though, has been very easily cleared by Cashin, and now a nice turn from Osula, and he is away from Edmondson down the Derby right, further forward to Dobbin inside the penalty area. Excellent recovery challenge though from Donassian, and he's done well to win it back. Nicked it between the legs of Dobbin, and then Ipswich are able to clear. John Jules though has been caught 15 yards inside the Ipswich half by James Chester, and he very quickly receives a yellow card.
Do you know, Donassian has just got a pat on the head from George Evans because he made a bad decision, tried to win the ball in front of Osula, didn't win it, and then was in trouble because Osula's quick and he beat him for pace. Donassian came to the rescue, read the danger, came across. I tell you what, he's really quick as well. Do you know, that's Donassian. He's quick feet as well. He looks to really get tight to attackers, and that was fabulous defending.
Now Burns brings a long ball down with ease again on this near side. Further forward to Harness, who spins away from Cashin, infield to Burns. And he's got support further forward on the edge of the penalty area, but turns back out towards the right. And Harness once again, not a huge amount of movement from the strikers in the box. The crossing is deflected off Barkhazen, but headed away by Curtis Davis again towards this near side. And there was an opportunity for Burns to try and attack, but it's read well by Barkhazen. Evans picks up the loose ball. His high crossing is cleared away, and Ipswich at times have dominated possession around the Derby area, but Derby have been very adept at making the pitch extremely narrow, and Ipswich are failing to deal with that when they do try and put the ball into the central areas.
Yes, there's a real definition of a back five for Derby. Then they've got Corey Smith just sitting in front of them as well. He's patrolling the area. As I talked earlier about trying to get Ipswich want to get Harness and Jackson into those little spaces on the half turn. And Corey Smith is doing a good job of snuffing that out at the moment, just sitting in front of the back five.
Now Bird back again towards Smith, and it's swung wide to the far side, looking for Mendez-Lang, and it's covered well by Leif Davis, but at the expense of a throw-in. Mendez-Lang quickly in towards Bird, and Mendez-Lang now will try and break into the penalty area, and he was looking for Bird to overlap, but he stayed where he was, and as a result Davis is able to clear. And now Morsey can bring it forward for Ipswich, challenged quickly by Sibley. No free kick given by the referee on this occasion, and it's all the way back towards Wildsmith, who clears high up to the halfway line, headed back over the top though by Edmondson, and straight back to Curtis Davis, who gave a ball wide to the far side for Mendez-Lang, which was very difficult to deal with at throat height, and it goes straight out of play for a throw-in.
Quite simply, it was an awful ball from Curtis Davis to Mendez-Lang.
24 minutes played, 0-0 here.
A little round of applause for David McGoldrick, the ex-Ipswich man, just come out to warm up for Derby.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Very popular figure here during his days in the Championship with Ipswich between 2013 and 2018. Another high ball played forward again by Ipswich, looking for Harness. Now Smith just in front of their back five, as Matt was saying. Again manages to hold off the challenge of John Jules, and it's back with Cashin. Only Manchester City and Plymouth have scored more goals in senior football so far this season than Ipswich, and no one has averaged more shots on goal. They are level with Manchester City at just over 17.5 shots per game, but not too many so far tonight, and that's credit to Derby.
Really big credit to Derby. They've got to come with a game plan. They've attacked Ipswich, they've not sat back, they've played with intensity, they've pushed high up on Evans and Morsey, who look to try and dictate the tempo of the game, and they've stopped that supply.
Now Burns coming forward again on this near side, low ball fisted, it's deflected and it spins across the 6-yard area. It was Cashin at the near post, that could have gone anywhere, and Derby slightly fortunate, it bobbled out on the far side for a throw-in. Taken quickly back towards Morsey, and now square to Wolfenden, born in Ipswich, who came to them via Swindon Town. And Sibley tries to run the ball clear for Derby, but he had a lack of options around him. Has a quizzical look towards the referee as it goes out of play. No free kick for him, and Ipswich have a throw-in taken quickly. Now Donassian on the halfway line. Back towards Wolfenden again. Evans changing the point of the attack to try and go wide to the left at Edmondson. Now John Jules is deep again, and it's an untidy challenge coming in from behind by Curtis Davis, and it's a free kick to Ipswich just inside the Derby half.
There's been a couple of those actually on John Jules, who's looked to link the plays. Been actually, I think, really effective early on in the game in holding it up and allowing Ipswich out, but a couple of times Derby have got really tight and left one on him, shall we say.
But I'm sure that's one of the reasons that Arsenal sent him out on loan, to experience the Championship and maybe toughen him up in some respects. Also an England under-21 international now as well, so he will benefit from a season in League One playing for a big club. But Paul Warne, who, as we were saying, has enjoyed such a good record against Ipswich over the years, at the moment is just beginning to frustrate the home team. Only 2 defeats so far for Ipswich, here last week at home to Lincoln, and in a big game they lost down in the southwest against Plymouth, who of course are now 4 points clear at the top. And under Steve Schumacher they have been tremendous so far this season, and if they can get into the Championship, it's a real game changer for that part of the world in football.
Yeah, it certainly is. It was a good game actually, really good advert for League One football, wasn't it? Plymouth Ipswich could have gone either way. Ipswich a goal up in that one, had chances on the counter to go 2 up, didn't take them, and Plymouth scored 2 quick-fire goals to win it.
The game here last week, Ipswich 76% possession, 33 shots, 14 corners, and they lost 1-0, but that's often life in League One when you're a big club. Now Sibley coming forward now. Good ball from Bird to almost release Dobbin, who comes in field from the left. He then wins it back from Wolfenden. He's got the pace on the outside of Mendes-Lang into the penalty area, and he's brushed aside Leif Davis. Low cross into the near post, and Edmondson just happy to plant the ball behind for a corner. Yeah,
mistake actually from Wolfenden, because he looked favourite to win the ball, and it was a slightly soft challenge from him. Dobbin then went on the attack, and I think it was Edmondson who cut the ball out for the corner, but Wolfenden made a big mistake on the edge of his own box.
Louis Sibley, who was part of a very good Derby under-18 team a few years ago, which won the under-18 Premier League title, he will take the corner kick. Swung right towards the far post, fisted away by Walton. And from Ipswich's point of view, it's a good job he did get desperate fingers on that, because Derby had 3 players charging in at the far post. And the throw-in has been given eventually to Derby. There's no doubt that Walton got the final touch, and it will be hurled in here by Tom Barkhuizen, another player who has dropped down from the Championship. He was at Preston last season. Thrown in short towards Smith. Barkhuizen whips the cross in, which is headed away by Donassi, and both teams have delivered plenty of balls in so far, which have been cleaned in rather routine fashion. Now Chester, high ball wide to the far side. Mendes-Lang will gather for the Rams. Bird has Dobbin making the run into the penalty area, and he lunges in. He was onside, and in the end it's claimed by Christian Walton. We welcome listeners from Talksport to Portman Road. Half an hour played in League One. Ipswich 0, Derby 0. Nearly 29,000 here tonight, and so far it's a game which has been very, very frenetic. Both sides have had plenty of possession around the penalty areas, but not too many clear-cut chances. Matt Holland is alongside me, and so far it's been a story of Derby County nullifying the Ipswich threat and maybe quieting down this crowd. Yeah, I think it's actually been a really good half an hour's game. The intensity of Derby, I think, has not surprised Ipswich. I think they would have expected that, because Paul Warner's Rotherham manager came here and saw these teams do pretty similar to what we've seen from Derby this evening. But it's unusual for Ipswich to come up against a team that are at them as Derby have been, because most teams have come to Portman Road, sat men behind the ball and said, go on then, break us down, whereas Derby are really trying to push high at times and win the ball higher up the pitch. But there's been a good intensity to the game. Neither goalkeepers had to make a difficult save as yet, though. 31 minutes played. Commentary continues on Talksport 2. It is Ipswich Town 0, Derby County 0. And a free kick's been given to Derby on the far side. A foul on Mendes-Lang by Leif Davis, but it's Davis who has gone down and has seemingly received the worst effects of that. Yeah, this is something that Derby have done. Yes, it's a high tempo game,
but when they get the chance, they slow it down and they get bodies forward and just try and take the tempo out of Ipswich's play.
And it's played short. Chester all the way back towards Davis. And here is Cashin. And he slides it across the field from left to right to find Mendez-Lang. And I think Mendez-Lang was looking for Osula to maybe make the run down the channel for him. Bird does that now, but Ebenson comes across and it's cleared away by Walton, high up towards the halfway line. Flicked on by Harness and then further on by John Jules, but Harness was penalised for the challenge on Smith, and neither he or the crowd were too pleased with that.
I wasn't sure about that either, if I'm honest. Smith just didn't look like he got off the ground, and Harness won it above him.
But Derby looking to move forward again. Everything coming down their right at the moment with Mendez-Lang, but he commits a free kick. He pings the ball off the near post, but the whistle had already gone for his challenge on Morsey, and Ipswich will have a free kick inside their own penalty area. But it seemed a few years ago that Nathaniel Mendez-Lang's career was not really going anywhere, but he moved to Cardiff. Neil Warnock took him when very few other people would, helped them to promotion into the Premier League. Since then he had a spell with Sheffield Wednesday. Now he's at Derby County, so at the age of 30 he is possibly playing some of the best football of his career. As we have a break in play once again, there is an Ipswich player down and both sets of players come in for refreshment and words from the coaches.
Yeah, I think it's Caden Jackson who's receiving treatment over on that far side. Mendez-Lang, I'll tell you what, pace-wise, it's in direct competition with Leif Davis. He left him for dust moments ago. Sam Morsey did brilliantly to come across and actually halt his progress and won a free kick for Ipswich, but that's a really good battle between those two, Davis and Mendez-Lang. Mendez-Lang for pace certainly has got the beating of him.
Two big games coming up at lunchtime tomorrow on the Talksport network. On Talksport, Forest against Liverpool with Reshman Chowdhury, Stuart Pearce and Sam Matterface. And here on Talksport 2, the Lancashire derby, Blackpool against Preston with Mark Wilson and Charlie Adam. Then Game Day Live with Adrian Durham on Talksport. All the goals as they go in, and the full classified check at 5 o'clock. And here on Talksport 2, Everton against Palace is our Talksport 2 commentary, and that's suddenly become a big game for Frank Lampard once again. Then on Sunday, I'll be alongside David Connolly at noon at Vicarage Road, Watford against Luton. And after what happened at Millwall on Wednesday night, Slaven Bilic needs a response from his Watford team there as well in what is their big local derby. Then on Monday, West Ham against Bournemouth with Adrian Durham, Clive Tilsley and Danny Murphy. And we are back in the Champions League on Tuesday, 5:45 Talksport 2, Salzburg against Chelsea. Burnley against Norwich will also be on too at 7:45. 8 o'clock on Talksport, Dortmund against Manchester City. Then on Wednesday, Barcelona against Bayern Munich on Talksport 2. Barcelona could be going out on Wednesday. Ajax against Liverpool will be on Talksport.
Just a little bit of football coming up then.
Just a bit. And of course, on Talksport and Talksport 2, we will be bringing you the World Cup very, very soon. Part of our 450 games coming up this season. And of course, we are the home of the EFL, and that doesn't just mean the Championship, League One and League Two as well. And we are here in League One tonight, where it's currently 0-0 between Ipswich and Derby, with 10 minutes to play in this first half. And it's a first half which has gone by fairly quickly, because it has always held the attention despite a relative lack of goalmouth action.
Yeah, it has. I think Derby have impressed. I think they've been decent tonight. Really have been. Played some nice football. Hold-up play's been good at the top end of the pitch, and they've been really good opposition for Ipswich. Ipswich's threat in the first half has come from Wes Burns. He looks the most likely. A lot of Ipswich's players come down the right hand side. If he can isolate them down that side, he looks like he's got the pace, a bit like Mendez-Lang on the opposite side as well. But most of Ipswich's attacking has come down the right.
Now Dobbin has gone down. He was challenged by Evans, and the Derby player remains on the turf as play continues, and he gradually gets himself back to his feet as Derby win it back and play it forward early, looking for Osula. Here is Burns now for Ipswich. driven ball in down this near side, but Cashin comes across to make the block again.
Ipswich on occasions have been a little bit guilty of trying to hit that final pass a little bit too soon, haven't they? They're looking for runners in behind.
High cross to the far post, and a looping header from Davis is wide, and then it's just helped behind by a Derby head, and it will be a corner kick. And Barkhazen there, I'm not sure, knew where the Ipswich players were around it.
No, and the Ipswich have looked a threat actually from set pieces. Lee Evans coming over to take this one. Delivery's been good up to this point.
Ipswich leading the corner count 6-1 so far in this game. Evans with another corner, high to the far post again, is nodded into the 6-yard area, cleared as far as Morsey, but a lunging Smith manages to block the shot, loops high into the penalty area, and Jackson will shepherd the ball behind to give Ipswich corner number 7, but neither side has had a shot on target so far in the game.
Well, Corey Smith's been good as a shield in front of the back line and made a really good block from Sam Morsey on the edge of the box, lining it up for an effort on goal.
Outswinger this time from Evans again, and it's glanced away by Chester at the far post. Davis recovers quickly in field to Donasian, and here is Morsey, and Donasian looks up and sees plenty of black shirts still waiting on the edge of the penalty area. Played down the line by Leif Davis, but it's a poor ball into traffic, and now Sibley can try and break for Derby, and he looked for Asula, and Asula is quick, but he just checked his run there as the ball was played forward, so as a result Edmondson is able to recover and play it all the way back towards Walton. And we've not quite seen a chemistry between either set of strikers so far. As Harness gives the ball away for Ipswich, and Smith plays the early ball forward. Asula was challenging for it, but he forces the wayward header towards his own goal from Edmondson, which goes behind for a corner.
I think there's another example there of Ipswich trying to force it. Marcus Harness picking the ball up in the position I talked about, in that number 10 position on the half turn, and looking to thread the ball forward for runners in behind. John Jules and Jackson are very quick, but it wasn't on. There was no space, and in the end they give the ball away, and it ends up and having to face a corner.
Sibley will take it on this near side, so it will be an outswinger for Derby, and they have half a dozen players making late runs into the penalty area, and it was flicked away by an Ipswich head before a missed kick at the far post from Chester, but a free kick had been given by Lee Swarby even before the ball had arrived.
Yeah, they've looked to get men around Christian Walton, make it difficult for him. We saw one of the corners earlier when it came into the box. He had 3 men round him and he was looking for a foul then. This time the referee does spot it.
Well, Derby have won their 2 previous away games against Cambridge and Accrington, having not scored in their first 4 against Charlton and Lincoln, games that they both lost, and there was a feeling that maybe under Liam Rossini they were a bit lightweight away from home, but you could not say that about this team here so far this evening.
No, not at all. It's been a really good away performance. They've actually won their first 2 league games away from home, haven't they, under Paul Ward?
But lost at home to Port Vale, which is League One in a nutshell.
There you go, sums it up, doesn't it?
Now Donasian with a high ball forward, and both these teams will discover this season. Of course, Ipswich have been down at this level for a few years now, that for a number of clubs going to Ipswich and Derby is a really big occasion. Now John Jules turns away on the edge of the penalty area, and he's been caught by the challenge from Cashin, who makes that movement with his hands to suggest he won the ball, but Lee Swarby disagrees, and it will be a free kick in a central area here for Ipswich, about 25 yards out.
Yeah, John Jules impressing again with his hold-up play, back to goal, was really strong, turned his man and wins Ipswich a free kick, 25 yards out, maybe a little bit further.
4.5 minutes to play in the first half here on Talksport 2, 0-0, but this will be struck either with the right foot by Evans or the left foot by Davis. And Lee Evans already has 3 goals so far this season. And Leif Davis has always had a very cultured left foot during his time with both Leeds and Bournemouth. Derby have a very big, very tall, very long burgundy wall, but it's curled in by Evans, and the wall does its job. Back towards Evans again, and now slid forward by Edmondson, who was caught, but here is Harness down the right, low cross to the near post, cut out by Davis. Dobbin will try and run it clear, but it's headed forward by Edmondson, and was Harness onside there? Well, the flag doesn't go up, but all he can do is prevent a goal kick by giving Derby a throw-in on the far side.
Yeah, poor free kick from Ipswich. Lee Evans was the one that took it straight into the wall. Actually, the position it looked like it suited the left footer more than the right. So, although Lee Evans spotted it, which gives you the indication that he's going to take it, I did think it probably suited Leif Davies better.
21 years since these two clubs last met in the Premier League, and it just shows you that times have changed. That in the game here, which Ipswich won 3-1, Finidi George scored twice for Ipswich, and Fabrizio Ravanelli replied for Derby. Of course, you would have played that night.
I played in that game, yeah. Played in that one.
Finidi George was a big name signing that didn't quite work.
No, do you know, he was a fabulous player and a great professional, and didn't quite work out for him. Started brilliantly here and then just faded, but I couldn't speak highly enough of him as a professional, and what he achieved in the game was something special.
Now Barkhuizen on this near side. Did he keep the ball in play? He did, according to the officials. He plays a low ball into the penalty area. The shot from Dobbin, though, has been blocked, but it breaks out on the edge of the penalty area to Sibley. He slips at the crucial moment, not for the first time, but now Cashin goes wide towards Mendez-Lang. His cross is blocked by Jackson. Jackson will now force Mendez-Lang back the other way, and as a result, on halfway, all Mendez-Lang can do is play it back towards Wildsmith. Long clearance downfield from him. Edmondson allows the ball to bounce before guiding a header back into the arms of Walton.
Yeah, approaching half-time and nothing between the two teams, really. Ipswich have probably had the majority of the ball, but still neither keeper has had to make a serious save.
And here is the former Rangers man, George Edmondson, on the far side. Wolfenden has time to play the ball. Derby are happy to sit off in this sort of situation, but now they could be played through as Harness has given the room to turn. Quickly infield towards John Jules, 25 yards out. Now Morsey on the edge of the penalty area, wide towards the far side again, back infield towards Morsey, jabs it into the box looking for Jackson, and it's cleared away comfortably once again by James Chester. And Derby have been really stretched defensively. They've given away a few corners, but Ipswich have not really opened them up so far.
No, it's been difficult for them. Not a lot of space in behind the Derby defence for Ipswich to get runners in behind.
Here is Burns coming forward now in a battle of the two number 7s, and I think Barkhuizen carried that ball behind, but again players allowed to continue. Burns actually fires a shot in which was off balance, but now it's won back by Harness. Harness goes all the way back towards Evans on the edge of the penalty area. Now back in field from Burns, looking for Evans again, but the pass was deflected and it's cleared by Derby. But here is Morsey given a room to turn with 30 seconds of normal time to play in the first half. 0-0 here on Talksport 2, and then the free kick conceded by John Jules, the foul on Davis, and it's a free kick for Derby, and that's the cue for many people here in the main stand to get up and head downstairs.
Yeah, that's one of the few occasions actually John Jules has been on his heels rather than coming to the ball and being that link man. As I say, I think he's had an impressive first half, his link-up play. Often actually when he's played in the team, he's played out on the left of the two in behind him, the left-hand side of them. That's where he's, I think, invariably being stationed rather than up front, but he's done a good job as the lone striker tonight.
A minimum of 3 more minutes in the first half here on Talksport 2, as a free kick has been given again in favour of Ipswich, midway inside their own half, and this time it was Willasula, who's on loan from Sheffield United, who was at fault. Lewis Dobbin, the teenager on loan from Everton, is his striking partner tonight, but they do have David McGoldrick available on the bench if required. James Collins, who's had a good start to the season, suspended at the moment following his red card in the recent defeat at home to Port Vale. And once again Ipswich waste the free kick, just hit long downfield and straight out of play. And
it's a ball they look for a lot actually. It's Wes Burns. He starts really high up the pitch. He's a right wing back, but he starts as right winger really. Starts wide and makes that run across his man into the space, and it was just over hit. But they've looked for him a lot in this first half.
And Joe Wildsmith just managing the clock at this stage in the 46th minute, carries the ball from one side of the 6-yard area to the other, and then takes the goal kick. Quickly played forward by Sibley, and here was Osula now on the burst, but he was just blocked off on the edge of the penalty area by Wolfenden, and it's cleared away on this near side by Edmondson. Infield again from Burns to find Harness, and a good ball forward. Morsey almost knees it into the path on this near side of Burns again, but the challenge comes in from Cashin, quickly down the line from the throw-in from Evans, and Cashin on the stretch concedes another one, which is a lot closer to the Derby goal, and it's taken quickly. Burns with the ponytail, infield towards Evans, urged to shoot, and he does, and it swirls high over the top.
Yeah, Ipswich just up the tempo, haven't they? I think when the ball's gone dead, they've been running to it. Can they take it quickly? Can they threaten him behind? They've just upped the intensity a fraction the last sort of 5 minutes or so, and they're finishing the half stronger of the two sides. They definitely have more of the ball.
And again, Wildsmith is taking an age over the goal kick. If they're 1-0 up 15 minutes to play, we might as well go home, because
yeah, but it's been the case, Nigel. Honestly, a lot of teams are coming in and doing this at Portman Road. Yeah, you imagine if Ipswich have against some of the teams 70% of the ball, and you've done a lot of chasing. You want to try and get as much of a breather as you can at times.
Well, Lincoln did a job on them here last week, as they did against Derby at Sinsel Bank, but Jackson looking to break forward now, but it was a poor ball towards him from Davis, but Edmondson will try and return it, and now there could be an overlap and an overload with both Davis and Jackson down the left, and the cross is deflected off Chester at the near post, and Ipswich will finish the first half with a corner.
And probably just about time to take it. They may well have had the 3 minutes already.
And they need to hurry up here, Ipswich, if they want to create one final chance in the first half. And they have sent everybody forward again. It's an outswinger towards the near post, it's headed away, and that is half time. Well, it's been a game of high intensity, but very few opportunities so far, and both teams have shown the qualities which could put them among the contenders in the shake-up in the League One season, but at the moment, at times, they are cancelling each other out. Half-time, Ipswich Town 0, Derby County 0. Thank you, Dan. Welcome back to Portman Road. Don't look to be any changes made by either side at half-time, as we crane our necks to look down to the touchline here. So this a reminder of the two teams. Ipswich, Walton in goal. The back three, Edmondson, Wolfenden and Danassian. Across midfield, Burns, Evans, Morsey and Davis, with two number 10s, Jackson and Harness, behind John Jules. The Derby team, Wildsmith in goal, Chester, Davis and Cash in the back three, Mendes, Lang, Smith, Sibley, Barkhazen and Bird across midfield, with Dobbin alongside Osula in attack. And it's Ipswich in all black who will get the second half underway here, playing from right to left. Listening to fans downstairs at half-time, Mark, I think there was a feeling almost a feeling of letdown, which is harsh for Ipswich, because they come here now, though, with such expectation.
Yeah, they've played a lot better than they have done in that first half tonight so far this season, but it wasn't a poor performance by any stretch of the imagination. I just think the opposition did a good number on them in that first period.
Now it's Ipswich who get the second half underway here on Talksport. Goalless on the home of the EFL, Talksport 2. As it's flicked on by John Jules. Ipswich in all black, and Derby also in their chain strip, burgundy shirts, black short or white shorts and burgundy socks, as Ipswich try and come forward again now. Down the left, Leif Davis towards the edge of the penalty area. Now Morsey chips it high in, the flick from Harness, but he was blocked by a good run from Cashin across the area, and the young defender's been one of the standout players for Derby so far, and Ipswich have a throw-in on this near side.
He's been very impressive. Cashin tracked the run of Harness superbly.
Now Davis with another low cross into the penalty area, and on too many occasions for Ipswich they picked out the man at the near post, and this time they did it again. It was James Chester, and it will be another throw-in which Leif Davis will take. Coming short is Edmondson, and Davis instead throws it in towards the edge of the penalty area, and John Jules again He does well to spin in a confined space and play it back towards Davis, but there's very little room down there. Now John Jules again. And Davis clips it in low towards Jackson, left-hand side of the penalty area. Ipswich looking to build up a head of steam here. Jackson with a low cross into the penalty area, but it's cleared away by Cashin yet again. But Ipswich almost unlocking the Derby defence there.
Yeah, good start from Ipswich to the second half. Got bodies in the box there. John Jules, Wes Burns, Harness, Morsey got himself forward.
Ipswich in their 4th season in League One. 11th, 9th and 11th in their 3 previous attempts. High cross into the penalty area now to the far post. Jackson just unable to pass it on to the ball in from Harness, and it will be a throw into Derby on this near side. And Ipswich have not been promoted from this level since 1957. And this is the first meeting between these two in the league, in the lower divisions, and it's their 84th meeting. Of course, they were a fixture together in the top flight for so many years, and more recently in the Premier League as well. Now Harness brings the ball down on the edge of the penalty area, poked through towards Morsey, and it was an uncoordinated challenge by Davis as he slices the ball behind for a corner.
Yeah, it's been a really good start to the second half. Good intensity, good pressure from Ipswich. Kieran McKenna, I'm sure, would have demanded that at half-time. Said that we need to step it up. I'm sure that would have been the message to his players at half-time. Let's do things a little bit quicker, move the ball quicker.
Corner kick from Davis, an outswinger, very deep this time, taken down by Evans on the edge of the penalty area, and now Evans again sweeps it in low, poor delivery, volley cleared by Sibley, and now there's a chase at the other end for Mendez-Lang, but Donatian, as Matt's been saying earlier, is very quick, and he plays it back towards Walton, quickly wide to this near side, and Morsey, high hanging ball from him, wide to the far side, but Barkhuizen does well to cut it out once again, and he tries to drive forward, but he's been caught by the retreating Burns, and it will be a free kick for Ipswich, for Derby County rather, and that is their threat on the break.
Yeah, the opportunity to get a bit of a breather, actually, because they had a bit of defending to do at the start of the second half. Another injury, looks like there's another man down for Ipswich. Trying to work out who it is.
It's Lee Evans, I think. And he was part of that movement initially. The foul came from Burns, but I think Evans was maybe caught by the momentum as Mendez-Lang fell to the ground. But it's a free kick here for Derby, and their fans in good voice in the stand on the far side, and they have sold out their enclosure as well for this game. Free kick high towards the edge of the penalty area. Cashin leaping, so too is Davis, headed in field but headed away by John Jules. Headed back over the top again. Davis then with a flick to find Sibley, but it's Edmondson who comes across, and he just about avoids giving the ball away on this near side, but he plays Davis into some trouble, and now Bird has it for Derby, wide towards Dobbin on the edge of the penalty area. He looks to create the space for the shot left-footed, but it's blocked by Donatian, and it spins away on the far side for a throw into Derby.
There's where he's so good, Donatian. Moves his feet so quickly to make that block. Doesn't dive in. It's excellent defending. Really quick to get to the ball, get the opposition numbers head down.
Throw in on the far side for Derby. 5 minutes into the second half here. 0-0 at Portman Road on Talksport 2. And after Ipswich dominated the opening moments, it's Derby's turn to try and create something here, but a loopy sort of throw is headed away by Burns at the near post, and then it's cleared away by Jackson wide to the far side. Harness gathers the ball in stride, looks to spin away from Smith, plays it forward to John Jules, but the recovery challenge is made by Chester, but play's been brought back here, and Smith will be booked for that initial pull back on Harness.
He's unlucky, isn't he, Harness? Again, he's trying to force it, but he was under real pressure when he tried to play that through ball. As you say, it's been brought back anyway for a free kick to Ipswich. Lee Evans still struggling, just bending over the ball. He's not happy that injury that he's picked up. Problem at the other end now as well for Derby. It's not Sibley's.
Yeah, Sibley's still down.
Up a knot.
He was caught following a challenge on the edge of the penalty area as Derby County looked to make something of that free kick, and it's been that sort of game so far. It's been uncompromising, but it's never been dirty, if we can call it that.
I think that's fair.
There have been one or two challenges which have overstepped the mark, but there's been nothing malicious. But it's a free kick which Lee Evans will take here for Ipswich. And they're attacking the more vocal area of Portman Road in the second half. The free kick high into the penalty area. Edmondson was shaping for it. It's nodded down. Shot towards goal by Harness. A very important block again by Cashin on the edge of the 6-yard area. And it's run clear over the halfway line by Mendes-Lang. Plays it forward looking for Sibley, overhit and into the body of Walton.
Caught that well, Marcus Harness. Came at him quickly on the half volley. A decent strike and well blocked.
Now John Jules challenged again from behind by
Kieran
Curtis
McKenna's
Davis.
not happy.
Yeah.
He's not. It's happened so many times. Curtis Davis looking to leave one on John Jules. Every time he comes short, looking to link play. He's got really tight and left one on the back of John Jules. And he's making that point, Kieran McKenna. He's very calm, and yet he was furious, wasn't he, when that latest challenge went in.
And then Richie Barker, who is the assistant to Paul Warne, came across to have his say with Kieran McKenna. So maybe it's getting slightly combustible around the technical areas now as well, as John Jules is run off the ball legally this time by a combination of Chester and Sibley. It's played square by Morsey. Evans towards the edge of the box. Lovely flick from John Jules. Back towards Morsey again, who tries to return the ball to the Arsenal loanee, but Derby County are able to clear. Sibley with a high ball wide to the far side. Danassian with a back pass towards Walton. It was risky play. He volleyed the back pass towards his goalkeeper with Dobbin in behind him, but Walton was able to deal with it.
Don't think he meant that.
No.
I think he was looking to try and head it, then couldn't move his feet quick enough to try and head the ball clear. Eventually he just sticks a leg out. Unfortunately it finds its way to Christian Walton.
That could have gone anywhere. Throw in to Derby on the far side. 53 minutes played here on Talksport 2 at Portman Road, as Harness spins away from Cashin this time, but it's been that final pass for Ipswich. It's not quite been precise enough.
No, it hasn't. It's frustrating, really frustrating. Looking for the perfect pass and it hasn't quite happened.
And there's another example as Burns jabs it forward looking for John Jules, but it was on the wrong side. And again there was a Derby County player down on the far side, and there may be some treatment required here. Just trying to see who it is. I think it might be Lewis Dobbin who is down.
Yeah, another break in play. It's frustrating. You want the game to have a rhythm. Hasn't quite had that. It's nice to hear that Ipswich fans trying to get behind their side.
And really that's Derby will be quite happy to see Ipswich just struggling to have that sort of
fluency.
They haven't been able to have it, Derby, really.
It is. They've done a good job of negating that.
But again, both coaches call in the players who aren't involved on the far side, and it will be another break in play here. And a reminder what is coming up over the weekend on Talksport. Big games tomorrow on game day from 11 o'clock on Talksport. We have Forest against Liverpool from 12 here on Talksport 2. Blackpool against Preston, then Game Day Live with Adrian Durham. Everton against Palace here on Talksport 2 at 3 o'clock. Then on Sunday, Watford against Luton, a game not live on television but is live here on Talksport 2 at 12. The Sunday session with Sam Matterface will keep you up to date with a busy day of action. And then on Monday, West Ham against Bournemouth live on Talksport. Tuesday night, Talksport 2 has Salzburg against Chelsea at 5:45. Then Burnley against Norwich. Norwich had lost their previous 3 games. Burnley going well alongside their Lancashire rivals Blackburn at the top of the table. Dortmund against Manchester City will also be on Talksport 2. And then on Wednesday, Talksport 2 has Barcelona against Bayern Munich. Ajax against Liverpool will be on Talksport.
Just in a replay of the challenge that left Corey Smith injured on the far side. It wasn't a good one from Lee Evans. That one was missed by the referee. He won the ball initially but followed through with his studs.
Now Dobbin on the chase again, and it's good goalkeeping by Walton to swoop on the ball right on the edge of the penalty area, but Christian Walton, we've seen already, is a very agile goalkeeper in that sort of situation.
He's an excellent goalkeeper at this level. I think Ipswich has done well to get him to drop down to League One. He reads the game really well. Good shot stop, and he's really improved the ball at feet as well.
Well, the ball was taken from Paul Warne there by Leif Davis to try and get Ipswich moving with a throw-in, and then the officials had a word and gave the decision Derby's way.
I've had a bad week this week, Nige. I've seen 2 0-0s already. I was at Brighton on Tuesday, I was at Brentford on Wednesday, and I thought there's no way it's going to be a hat-trick.
Well, a long way to go in this game.
Still over half an hour.
Played.
We can hope.
Now Harness almost wins it back for Ipswich, but Chester plays it forward, looking for the run of Bird, but it's controlled by Edmondson, and it's credit to the Derby players as well, because I know it's been fairly harum scarum off the field there, and they've had various managers, but they've adapted to this style of play very quickly.
Yeah, it was difficult for them, wasn't it, trying to get a team at the start of the season as well, trying to fill the squad, late recruitments, but here they are, and they're competitive. You know, they'll feel as though they can certainly reach the playoffs as a minimum.
And I think, talking to Derby fans, that if they finish 10th this season, or maybe finish in the playoffs, considering everything that's gone on, that they would take that. They may have to take their medicine and a couple of seasons in League One.
Yeah, I think that you set yourself goals at the start of the season, it wouldn't be to finish 10th.
No.
That's for sure.
But that's the reality of life, isn't it? Now Mendes Lang, high cross into the penalty area. I'm sure that Paul Warner's got the ambitions of getting promotion. He's looking for his 4th in 4 attempts in League One. He
wouldn't have dropped down a division, would he, if he didn't feel as though he could get them back up at the first attempt.
And you would imagine he's been told as well in January, should he require them, there would be funds available.
You would, I would guess that would be the case. If they're pushing close and they're near the playoffs or in and around the playoffs, then I think there would be funds available.
David McGoldrick is coming on, the former Ipswich player for Derby. And he is replacing Lewis Dobbin, who clearly has not recovered from the earlier challenge. And there is applause from the Ipswich supporters as well for David McGoldrick.
Yeah, popular figure, Ditsy, as he was known.
Now 34 years of age, but again, and we say that about so many players on the field tonight, in League One, he could make a real impact.
Yeah, he's a clever player. Knows where the space is. Intelligent link man.
And when we talk about Paul Warne's teams and we talk about them being direct at times, they are not simply direct. They do try and play when given the opportunity, but they try and get themselves into the right areas to play.
I think that's right. I think they do. They try and pick a lot of second balls up. As I say, they've pushed Bird and Sibley up high up the pitch, so when the ball does go forward and it's a 50-50 in the middle of the pitch, they're looking to then win it and play in the final third.
And the player with fewest touches on the field so far this evening is Will Asula, their striker, which maybe tells you about the game so far. As a high ball into the area, McGoldrick is having his shirt pulled off his back there by Edmondson, but of course nothing was given, and it's claimed by Christian Walton. An hour played at Portman Road, 0-0 here on Talksport 2, the home of the EFL. And we are here in League One this evening, back in the Championship next Friday night, when we go to St Andrews for Birmingham against Queen's Park Rangers, two teams who have been in excellent form recently. Now Cashin, who looks to be the sort of player who will be playing in at least the Championship next season, whatever happens to Derby. Now Mendes Lang on this near side. Derby did sell a number of players to bigger clubs from their academy during the summer. Lee Buchanan went to Werder Bremen, Festia Baseli to Udinese, and Malcolm Ebiowai to Crystal Palace, as one of the players who's come in to replace them, Will Asula, looks to challenge on the far side, but just runs out of room again. And maybe having McGoldrick alongside him now, a different sort of player, a more genuine number 10, could help Asula.
Yeah, I think, the way that Derby like to play, it's that three-man midfield and then one in behind the striker. And McGoldrick's great at that, linking the midfield and the front players, so he could have an impact on the game. I'll tell you what, an area that Derby have done well in the second half is stopping the threat of Wes Burns. First half, everything for Ipswich came down the right-hand side, and he saw a lot of the ball. Hasn't seen anywhere near enough of it in the second half for Kieran McKenna's liking.
Matt Holland, the former Ipswich and Republic of Ireland midfielder, here on Talksport 2 this evening at Portman Road. And a crowd of nearly 29,000 here in the third tier of English football really does show the enduring appeal of the English football pyramid. And we will see that again in a few weeks with the FA Cup first round. And both these teams are facing non-league opposition. Ipswich will travel to Brackley from the 7th tier. That game will be live on Talksport 2. And Derby travelling to Plainmoor to face Torquay. And the next game following that will be away to Liverpool, so it's a very broad church. Now Morsey, wide to this near side. Played in field towards Morsey again by Jackson. Jackson spins away from the challenge, tries to curl in. An audacious effort, right-footed from the edge of the penalty area. And he almost makes the second tier behind that goal.
Yeah, there's been a few of those from Ipswich from distance over the top of the bar. Did well initially, Caden Jackson. Good turn, quick spin. And then when it opened up, couldn't control his shot. Been frustrating in that final third for Ipswich.
Well, the stats so far now, Ipswich, 10 shots, 0 on target. Derby, 3 shots, 0 on target. Ipswich have now got 60% possession and they lead the corner count 9-2. Similar numbers to the ones they achieved in their 1-0 home loss here against Lincoln last week. Throw-in has been conceded by Derby on the far side. But as Matt was saying from very early on in the game, they do effectively have a back five with Corey Smith playing just in front. And now another change is being made. Well, it's interesting because Will Asula is coming off and he's being replaced by Conor Hourihane. So both strikers who started the game for Derby have been taken off in a matter of moments.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do then to try and change their formation, how they adapt.
Sibley could play further forward, or they could simply play McGoldrick as the lone striker with Hourihane as the number 10. We'll have to wait and see. Hourihane back after a recent calf injury. Came through the academy here at Ipswich before moving on to Plymouth and then Aston Villa in the Championship, Barnsley as well. Now Morsey plays it wide to Harness, and here is Burns, right-hand side of the penalty area. Burns with a low cross in, deflected and claimed well at the near post by Joe Wildsmith.
Yeah, I don't think that was a great run from Thanatsian. It just brought another defender into the path of Wes Burns when he was faced up 1v1.
Well, it looks like Sibley and Hourihane are playing as two number 10s now behind McGoldrick, so they've really matched Ipswich up in formation. Now another long ball forward. Edmondson with a back header towards his own goal, and just for a moment Walton was scampering there because it looked to be sneaking in towards the far post.
Yeah, nervy moment, wasn't it? A nervy moment. It's 3 men in behind McGoldrick, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Bird is now joined in as well.
Yeah.
There's another long ball forward for Ipswich. Comes to nothing, and at times they have been sucked into playing Derby's game here.
Yeah, they have. Conor Hourihane just having a quick chat with Curtis Davis about how they're going to line up now, just making sure he's aware of exactly the formation.
Hourihane now sprinting forward towards the edge of the penalty area, and he's another player who could have possibly found employment in the Championship, but has headed to Derby County. Burns, and the back pass from Davis is short. Here is Jackson beyond the goalkeeper. It's off the post. It comes out to Burns. He scores. Ipswich finally have their goal, and it's a horrible moment for Curtis Davis. The back pass was short. Jackson should have scored. He hit the post, but it came out to Wes Burns. He kept his cool, and the biggest crowd of the League One season erupts here at Portman Road. Ipswich lead Derby by a goal to nil.
Well, in tight games, it's often a bit of magic or a mistake. And what have we just seen? A big howler from Derby County and Curtis Davis. Caden Jackson's quick, really quick, and he's always a threat running in behind, but he reads the mistake, gets there before the goalkeeper. As you say, he rounds him, he's got an open goal, and he should be giving Ipswich the lead. Bounces off the post, Wes Burns follows it in, and he's got the composure. He's calm, he's controlled, and he side foots it into the back of the net, and Portman Road erupts. Ipswich ahead.
Third goal of the season for Wes Burns, and they will miss him if he goes to the World Cup with Wales. But it's a moment which did not really seem to be happening in this game, and Curtis Davis, the oldest player on the field at the age of 37, well, he looks disgusted with himself.
Well, it was a huge error, just underhits the back pass to his goalkeeper, just invites Caden Jackson to read it, and he does it superbly. Great pace, got there ahead of the goalkeeper. Really, he should have been putting Ipswich ahead. Fortunately, there was Harness and Burns following it up to do the job for him.
Now Derby have to chase the game here as the high ball into the penalty area, and Walton was just bowled over there on the far side, but I think the referee will allow play to continue, and Wes Burns showed real composure there, and I know people can say it looked an easy finish, but we've seen players in that situation
panic
so often hit the player on the line.
Yeah, absolutely, panic. The first touch was good. The first touch was really good. It came off the post really quickly back to him, and he had an option to hit it first time with his left foot, but he decided to have the touch, put it back on his right foot, his stronger foot, and he was able to guide it, side foot it into the back of the net, and there was a man on the line as well, so that was an even more difficult finish for him.
Well, Derby haven't lost here in 5 visits to Portman Road since March of 2014, when Patrick Bamford scored for the Rams, but they ultimately lost by 2-1, but they're losing here now. And a team with no shots on target so far have to chase the game, and in fact that was Ipswich's first shot on target in the 66th minute.
Well, it opens the game up now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because Derby really have to have a bit more ambition about their play as well. Don't think we've seen as much ambition from Derby in the second half as we saw in the first. In actual fact, I think they've done a good job of negating Ipswich's threat generally, but haven't really caused Ipswich any problems in this second period. But now they're going to have to come up and open up a little bit, which you would feel suit Ipswich. A team coming onto them a little bit more, space for Ipswich to run in behind.
Well, previously Ipswich have kept 19 clean sheets in 37 league games under Kieran McKenna, so they can be a very tough nut to crack as well, and now of course they have something to build on, or maybe something to hold on to later on in the game. Bird plays it forward for Derby again. McGoldrick almost wins it back, but he's robbed by Morsey, and then McGoldrick just clips the heel of Morsey, who goes down, and I'm sure we will not see too much game management from Derby at this stage of the game now, with them trailing by a goal to nil.
Now, you wouldn't think they'll be slowing the game down now, would you? It's probably more likely that Ipswich do that, and Sam Morsey, right on the ground. His teammates don't look too worried about him, but the captain has just now decided to take a bit of sting out the game as well.
If it stays like this, the top of the table, Plymouth 34 points, Ipswich 33 points, Sheffield Wednesday with a game in hand this weekend 29 points, and then there's a big gap developing. Peterborough and Portsmouth on 22 points, and Barnsley, Bolton and Shrewsbury on 21 points, and Derby would remain in 20th. Here is Jackson again into the penalty area, right foot shot, side netting. He appeals for the corner kick, but a goal kick's been given And Caden Jackson, who should have scored the opening goal, maybe should have also scored the second there.
This was a much more difficult chance, but it's all his own work again. He's made that run in behind Curtis Davis once more, picked out superbly by Lee Evans, an absolutely perfect pass from him in the space between Davis and the goalkeeper. Good first touch from Caden Jackson, but he was forced wide. It was a much more difficult opportunity.
Change now for Ipswich, and they are changing up their forward players, and it's Tyrese John-Jules who is going off, and Freddie Ladapo is the player who comes on. Played under Paul Warne at Rotherham, promoted last season. Was also a success at Plymouth, and he already has 4 goals so far this season.
I think it's a decent performance from John Jules, especially first half. I thought he was excellent. His hold-up play was really good. Up against 2 really experienced defenders in James Chester and Curtis Davis. I thought for a youngster, his intelligence and his strength was really good.
And all of a sudden, we have 18 minutes to play in this game, and it's Ipswich 1, Derby 0.
Shivers down your spine when you hear Ipswich fans singing.
Well, this ground has not been this full on a regular basis since probably the Premier League years. Yeah,
I was talking to George Burley before the game, and we were sort of saying when I first joined here in '97, the average crowds were sort of 12 or 13,000, Nigel. I mean, we're top end of the Championship, we were 12 or 13,000. Here we are in League One, where we finished 11th, 9th, 11th for 3 seasons, and we're 28,500 at Portman Road. It's brilliant.
And it's often been a point made by Norwich fans that irrespective of what division they're in, they always get more fans than Ipswich, but not at the moment.
Don't talk about Norwich in these parts. That's a bad habit.
Well, Paul Warne, born in Norwich City fan, but he's losing here at Portman Road this evening. And what can we expect from the striker we've just seen come on?
Well, he's got a manager, an opposition manager who knows him really well. Physically, again, he's really strong, Freddie Ladapo. He'll put himself about, again, a bit like John Jules, really, that link play, that strength to hold it up.
Now Mendes Lang plays it back towards Chester again. Curtis Davis, who I'm sure, if it stays like this, is the sort of character who will come out and front up and talk about his mistake after the game. At the moment, it could be the decisive moment in the game, with 73 minutes played here on Talksport 2. Ipswich 1, Derby 0. Ipswich will be going back to within a point of Plymouth, and a 4-point cushion will be built up between themselves and Sheffield Wednesday once again before the weekend programme gets underway. But League One promises to be so competitive, but at the moment the onus really is on the top 2 to try and maintain that gap and build up the pressure. And Sheffield Wednesday are in the early kick-off tomorrow. They're at Lincoln City, a team who've already beaten both of these clubs so far this season. And Plymouth go to Bristol Rovers, so something of a, well, it's not a local derby, but it's a West Country derby. Plymouth don't have any local derbies anymore, although Exeter, of course, are back in that division. And then you look down the list, Portsmouth go to Forest Green, who are towards the bottom of the table. But you look at the League One fixture list, maybe a bit like the Championship, and it's so difficult to predict. Well, you can predict what's going to happen, but usually you're wrong.
Well, there's lots of different tests, aren't there, in League One? And you can go some places where you know it's going to be a physical battle. You have to change your team to adapt to that. The pitches might not be perfect. The opposition stadiums and facilities might not be perfect. You've got all sorts of different levels, haven't you, of clubs and performances and how they set up and their styles. So it's a fascinating league. You have to have lots of different facets to your game to win matches.
Change being made here by Ipswich again, and it's Lee Evans who is coming off after a spell of treatment, and coming on for them is the former Queen's Park Rangers player Dominic Ball.
Yeah, not long back from fitness himself, picked up a bit of a gash in his leg and been back training now over a week.
Now Davis with the clearance, big up and under this time, almost lands on Paul Warne's head inside the technical area. I think it may have actually landed on the head of the cameraman who is sat next to Paul Warne down there. but it will be a throw-in on halfway. It's Ipswich's turn here now to try and slow things down with 14 minutes to play, leading by a goal to nil. Ladapo's layoff doesn't find Jackson, but it will be a throw-in to Derby County, a team who spent 14 seasons in the Championship before relegation. They would have finished well clear of the bottom three had it not been for the 21-point deduction, but they were fighting against that for so much of the season, and then Wayne Rooney chose to depart, and Liam Rossignoux was briefly in charge before Paul Warne came in, and it was a big call for him to leave a job at Rotherham where he'd been for so many years and was so popular. Now Harness just gets a bit too familiar with Smith as he comes in from behind, and it will be a free kick for Derby County. But after two successive away victories, this will be their third away defeat of the season if it stays like this, and I think Paul Warne will be disappointed by the absence of any real goal threat so far.
Yeah, they're disappointed, I think, in the second period. They've dropped off the levels. Now they're starting to push a little bit further forward, trying to get a couple of midfield runners in support of David McGoldrick.
1-2 now played between Mendez-Laing and Bird. Mendez-Laing with the cross into the penalty area, and it's cleared away, but then it's given away by Leif Davis. Bird with the cross high to the far post, fisted away by Walton. Ladapo will gather for Ipswich on the far side. He's got Burns steaming forward to create the width down the right, but it's infield to Morsey. And over the halfway line, Ipswich try and build with ball again. Morsey now breaks into the penalty area, and he had Burns and Harness inside in space, but he chose to try and go wide to Ladapo, and the pass was overhit and it's behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, poor choice of pass, wasn't it, from Sam Morsey? Unusual from him. He's usually so neat and compact with his passing, and he actually had options to his left hand side. He had Harness and Jackson on the overload. Started to try and pick Ladapo out. It was actually in an offside position, so it wasn't even on.
Well, only Simon Grayson, our sometime Talksport colleague, has won more promotions from League One than Paul Warne, but he will be coming from behind this season. Of course, he always knew that was the case, but there are so many teams between Derby County and the top two, and maybe the top six after this weekend at the moment, but of course a long way to go, and it is often all about remaining in touch with 10 or 15 games left and then seeing what you can do. Here is Cashin, infield to Bird on the edge of the penalty area. But Derby in the second half have offered so little going forward, and they've given the ball away again now. Ball breaking things up. Ladapo turns into Bird. Bird makes the challenge, no free kick given, and it's not long by Donasian, long downfield and straight out of play. But we have just over 10 minutes to play on Talksport 2, and Ipswich lead 1-0, and a double change now being readied by Derby County. And it's Liam Thompson, another one of their academy products, who will come on for Corey Smith. And Craig Forsyth, their longest serving player, nearly a decade now at Pride Park, he comes on for Tom Barkhazen. I'm not sure it will be a change in formation, but Forsyth is a more regular fullback.
Still fit as a fiddle. It's the shape of you. Now you've lost all that weight, Nigel.
I wouldn't say that. My football career never really started, so I've got more stamina now, but the lack of ability is always going to hold me back, I think. Looks like a back four now for Derby, with the player who has just come on, Liam Thompson, playing just in front of that, but they're looking to push more bodies forward now.
Yeah, Mendez-Laing has gone right up top, hasn't he?
Yeah.
In support of David McGoldrick.
As they chase the game with 9.5 minutes to play. Here is Forsyth, infield towards Mendez-Laing. Sibley on the overlap down the left, early cross into the penalty area, flags raised for offside. It was claimed by Walton anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to the stage of the game where Paul Warne had to do something. because his team were just treading water, really, not going anywhere. So he had to be more positive, and he has been with his substitutions, and now the shape of the team as well. 4-2-3-1 is the system he's now got. Mendes-Lang off the right-hand side, but you can see already that he's looking to get close to David McGoldrick when he can.
Derby at this level for the first time since 1986, when they were relegated following a financial meltdown, but they spent only a season at this level, then they went straight through to the old First Division, back-to-back promotions. But it may be a rebuilding job for Paul Warne in the short term, but they still have time in this game with 8.5 minutes to play. But Chester has given the ball away to Harnett, and it was an excellent challenge from Davis to win it back. Now it's played wide to this near side. Appeals for handball against Chester. Davis plays the cross, and it's blocked by Chester. Jackson now trying to find Ladapo. He turns. Ladapo trying to spin inside the area, and in the end the ball ricochets away off Cashin behind for a corner.
Another mess defensively in Derby County. Another cheap giveaway, and Ipswich capitalise. The shot eventually blocked. It could have gone anywhere. It's gone out for a corner.
And Ipswich seem reluctant to send somebody across to take this. And it's the turn of Paul Warne to maybe have words with the fourth official about the amount of time that Ipswich are taking, and eventually Leif Davis trots across and gets warm applause from the Ipswich supporters.
I don't think you can have too much sympathy, can he, when he's taken enough time out of the game themselves.
In swinger from Davis, flicked on, good save at the near post. Burns with the header, and then Burns goes down. The challenge from McGoldrick, and the two officials eventually have given the penalty. The penalty has been given. Lee Swaby was waiting on the assistant on the far side, and eventually he raised his flag, did not place it across his chest. There was momentary confusion, but Ipswich do have the penalty for that challenge by McGoldrick.
Well, the referee wasn't sure. He certainly wasn't sure. It was the assistant on the far side that has given the penalty. He had a clearer view. I'm sure he had a much better view than the referee. It was Wes Burns who was really quick to anticipate where the ball was going to land. David McGoldrick was already down. My view, first time of seeing it, was that Wes Burns went down fairly easily and was maybe looking for it. Again, I'd like to see the replay before casting a firm judgment on that.
Well, Lee Swaby, the referee, had a long wait there, and the assistant on the far side did the same. Burns almost scored with what was a very sharp header before that. But Caden Jackson will take the penalty kick for Ipswich, and this will seal the game. Jackson steps up, it's saved! Brilliant save by Christian Walton, by Joe Wildsmith, and the save has been made. We welcome listeners from Talksport to Portman Road as Ipswich missed the opportunity to go 2 goals up. It was an excellent save. Caden Jackson taking the penalty low to Joe Wildsmith's left-hand side, and he got down there, and in the end he was able to get there with both hands.
Really good save. Down to his left-hand side, that full stretch. He read Caden Jackson's penalty and got a good, strong hand on it.
And Jackson, who hit the post in the build-up to the opening goal, has now missed the penalty. Jackson now on the ball on this near side, has Davis on the overlap, low cross into the near post, and it's smuggled behind it. It will be a corner. For the benefit of our listeners on Talksport, just tell us about the only goal so far. A game broken open by a mistake.
It was a big mistake from Derby's captain Curtis Davis. Tried to play a back pass, left it short. Caden Jackson's pace was able to capitalise on that mistake, rounded the goalkeeper, should have scored himself, hit the post. It bounced back to Wes Burns, who followed in and really calmly took a touch onto his right foot and side-footed it into the back of the net with a defender on the line. And that was the difference. I said in tight games like this, and it has been a tight game, that it's a bit of magic or a mistake that can tend to open up the game, and it was a mistake. It was Curtis Davis.
Curtis Davis now down injured. 4.5 minutes to play. Commentary continues on Talksport 2. It is Ipswich 1, Derby 0.
I've just had a message that the goalkeeper, although he's made a great save, was miles off his line when he made that save.
Of course, if we had VAR, that would have been picked up, but I've said if we had VAR in the EFL a lot recently.
Yeah, the message has come from Adrian Durham.
Yeah.
He's a man that watches his football, listens to his football 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Absolutely.
And he said that the goalkeeper was a long way off his line when he made the save.
Sent me the picture, he sent me the still, and he was a yard off his line, which, of course, in the higher echelons they're not allowed to do. Davis with the corner kick eventually, headed away at the near post by Forsyth. Now Mendez-Lang, 3.5 minutes to play. As Donasian plays the back pass towards Walton, who clears long downfield up towards the halfway line. Jackson wins it well and then almost collides with Davis, and as a result Derby County win the ball back. And Caden Jackson's had a rather accident-prone second half at times, but it was his pace which got to the back pass and I suppose created the opportunity for the goal so far. But I'm sure as a striker he'll be disappointed he didn't finish it himself. But now there is space and times for Burns to come forward on the far side, but another excellent challenge made by Cashin, who has had an excellent game. Davis is limping for Derby, but playing on as it's laid into the penalty area now. McGoldrick with a shot, and it's scrambled wide, and it took a deflection on the way through. It's a corner.
Yeah, it wasn't a great strike, was it, from David McGoldrick? 25 yards out, somewhat bobbling towards that right-hand post of Christian Walton, who at full stretch got a little touch on it to tip it round for a corner. Ipswich have had chances, haven't they?
They have.
That decision-making, that final pass, Wes Burns holding on to it too long. Freddie Ladapo made the run, ball should have come sooner. In the end, he's run himself offside and Wes Burns gets caught.
Corner kick for Derby. 2 minutes to play here at Portman Road. It's played short on the far side. Sibley opens out the angle. The cross in from Mendez-Lang into the 6-yard area. Was missed by about 3 Derby players. Eventually cleared as far as Sibley again. He's challenged by Burns. Sibley lays it all the way back towards Mendez-Lang, who's not been closed down. He comes square with the penalty area. He was caught. He went down in instalments, but no doubt Harness caught him, and it's a free kick to Derby.
Yeah, and it's going to be a nervy last few minutes. We're 88-30. Taking it quickly.
They're taking it quickly. The cross into the penalty area is blocked. Harahan with a cross to the far post, overhit and gathered by Walton. Yeah,
it's going to be a nervy though. Despite that, and the ball in the hands of the Ipswich goalkeeper, it's still going to be a nervy last however many minutes we've got left. A minute plus stoppage time. Could have been so much easier for them if Caden Jackson had put away that penalty.
16 shots for Ipswich, only 3 on target though. Derby have had 3 shots in the entire game and none of those on target.
Yep.
Which tells you a lot, really. And we are into the 90th minute. Long downfield from Wildsmith again. Sibley heads it square towards Forsyth. And Forsyth has got Sibley down the left, but Donasian comes across and hooks it clear in front of the Derby fans on that far side. But Ipswich now win it back and they will try and break. Morsey, though, losing out in the block tackle to Chester.
It was on again early to Ladapo, and another intelligent run. The ball didn't come.
Here is Harahan. Infield again towards Sibley. Now not long from Harahan, wide towards McGoldrick. And Derby made the changes which basically left them with only McGoldrick as their striker just before Ipswich scored. But now they do have a free kick for handball conceded by Ladapo, and we are into 7 added minutes here. Mendez-Lang brings it forward down the central area for Derby, but runs into a cul-de-sac, and it's brought clear by Morsey, who then turns and goes all the way back towards Walton. He clears downfield, and it spins into the path of Chester. Now Sibley back towards Cashin, and Forsyth slides it down the line. Bird makes the run into the penalty area, but Wolfenden will shepherd it back towards Walton again.
Am I being biased, or is 7 minutes too many? I'm trying to work out why we've got 7.
Well, we've had numerous changes. We have had a couple of stoppages.
Maybe.
And maybe
it just feels like a lot.
Maybe they've added on time for Derby's game management before the goal, which could benefit them now. And there has been a bit from Ipswich since they scored, which of course is always the way. Now Chester with the throw-in towards Harahan, two former Aston Villa players. Cashin, another excellent pass from him, wide towards Sibley, but he's lost out to Donatian, and Burns has it now for Ipswich, and Donatian's ball in field is cut out very quickly by one of the players who's just come on, Thompson. And Derby here have got so many players forward now, and Harahan needs to find one of them, and he does. And it's McGoldrick on this near side, wide towards Mendes-Lang, who can attack the penalty area, but he again runs into Davis. And McGoldrick is coming back to cover the space which Mendes-Lang has vacated, as Morsey brings it forward now, looking for Ladapo, who checked his run about 3 times to stay onside, and eventually the pass was overhit.
He's made the run 3 times. The ball hasn't come. This time the ball does come, and he doesn't make the run.
Now Mendes-Lang inside the fullback, but Davis does well to block that. We played 2 minutes of the 7 added minutes, and Ipswich have a free kick. The challenge from Thompson on Jackson.
And funnily enough, 4 Ipswich players are down.
Yes.
Trying to get treatment. I saw one go down. I thought, look, I can understand that. One player's gone down, trying to waste a few precious seconds from what's remaining. And then I looked round, there was 4 of them down.
They're all getting up now. So the medical team don't come on at all.
Ball, Harness, Burns, Donatian all went to ground.
Paul Warne continuing to prowl around his technical area here. His record in all competitions, if it stays like this, will not be a good one, as Davis with a ball in and the back header from Forsyth eventually finds Wildsmith. And Derby will try and build on the far side with Sibley, but he's quickly closed down by Ball.
Breaks the play up well, Ball.
And I think he was a good player to bring on at the time of the game when he did come on. But it will be 2 wins, a draw, and 3 defeats under Paul Warne if it stays like this. High cross into the penalty area from Sibley, beyond everybody, and behind for a goal kick. And he and the fans may discount the results in the Papa John's Trophy. They lost to Manchester City's under-21 side to go out in midweek. But they would have been looking for the sort of run to propel them into the top 6 very quickly, and it's not happening at the moment.
No, I mean, this is a difficult game for them, isn't it? You know, away from home, a team that are pushing for promotion and have been going really well in Ipswich. Looking at the fixtures coming up, Exeter and Bristol Rovers at home, their next couple of games, and then MK Dons, Portsmouth away, Sheffield Wednesday, so still some tricky games on the horizon as well for Paul Warne.
Cleared downfield by Walton again. Ladapo beaten to it by Cashin, but all the way back towards Wildsmith, and we are into the 95th minute here. Ipswich leading by a goal to 0. Donatian heads another long ball away. Here is Thompson. Turns back in field to find Forsyth. Slid down the line from McGoldrick left hand side. McGoldrick further forward, plays the 1-2, and now Bird on the edge of the penalty area. Bird spinning wide towards Sibley. Sibley with a cross high into the penalty area behind everybody. And going forward at times in the second half, Derby have been absolutely dreadful.
Well, they didn't fill the box, did they?
No.
When the ball went wide, you're expecting them to really get numbers inside the area. There was only 2 of them really getting in there. I think it was Mendes-Lang and McGoldrick.
But had it not been for the back pass from Curtis Davis, this could be 0-0, and it would be, in many ways, a very good performance.
And a frustrating night for Ipswich.
Absolutely. But this is the sort of game that Ipswich will feel they have to win. If they can eke out a 1-0 thanks to a mistake, then great for them.
Yeah, particularly after losing at home last time out against Lincoln.
Thompson now with a long ball forward, beyond everybody once again, and behind for a goal kick, and the Derby fans are beginning to head for the exits.
And it looks like Ipswich preparing Richard Keogh to come on, the ex-Derby man.
Yeah. Well, this will be interesting. Of course, left Derby under a cloud, to say the very least. After a long spell there for 9 years, has been at Huddersfield and Blackpool since, and he comes on for Janoy Donasian, and he will be defending just in front of the Derby fans who are still left in the stadium on the far side, the right.
He might not get an overly warm reception, you never know, do you?
Well, he was their captain there for so long before he was initially suspended and then left the club. And just looking at the Derby fans on the far side.
No, he's getting applause from some.
But they're not giving him the general warmth that David McGoldrick received when he came on. Wildsmith clears downfield again. Flicked on by Harahan. McGoldrick tries to win it back, and then McGoldrick heads on, and Derby have a free kick, and this could be their final chance here. And they will send everybody forward, and Joe Wildsmith, the goalkeeper, was thinking about heading forward, but instead he plays it short to Harahan. Harahan now with a high ball. Final chance for Derby. Headed up in the air initially, headed towards goal by Chester. Volley clear towards this near side by Wolfenden.
Just picked up a yellow card as well, by the way, for kicking the ball away.
Throw in for Derby, and they can't get the ball back. Eventually they do. Mendes-Lang will take it. The referee has the whistle to his lips. Mendes-Lang, taking an age, goes all the way back to the halfway line. Harahan just lumps it forward towards the edge of the penalty area. Nodded away by Keogh. Now Ladapo, Ipswich can break in. Ladapo has been taken out by Forsyth, and they both cartwheeled up into the air following that challenge, but no yellow card from the referee.
I think Luke Wolfenden's making that point. He picks up a yellow card for kicking the ball away, and then they stop an Ipswich counter-attack, and it was a clear yellow, and it wasn't given. But either way, Ipswich will be happy that they've got possession, a free kick just inside their own half, and that should be it.
Keogh over the free kick. He's only had a bit part to play, but I'm sure beating Derby will give him a good deal of satisfaction at a personal level. Cleared downfield by Walton. It's all over. Ipswich can celebrate another big win, a narrow victory, but it will feel very significant against one of the other really big beasts in League One. It was a game decided by a mistake. The back pass from Curtis Davis, seized upon by Caden Jackson. He couldn't score, but in the end Wes Burns did. Derby County offered very little in response, and Ipswich moved back to within a point of Plymouth at the top of the table. It is finished. Ipswich Town 1, Derby County 0.